The Celestial Harmony Station floated quietly in the dark space between star systems. Inside its metal walls, 12 different species lived and worked together. Today was supposed to be a good day. Today was the weekly cultural exchange event where everyone shared food, music, and stories from their home worlds. Hyun-woo walked through the busy corridors with his toolkit hanging from his belt. He was a maintenance engineer, which meant he fixed things when they broke. The tall human had gentle eyes and moved carefully through the crowds of aliens. Some were small and covered in feathers. Others were huge and looked like walking bears. A few had scales that caught the light as they passed. The noise from the event hall was very loud. Hyun-woo could hear music and laughter and the sounds of at least 50 different voices all talking at once. He was glad his work took him away from the crowd. Too much noise made his head hurt. He preferred the quiet areas of the station, where machines hummed softly, and he could think. In the nursery section, things were also busy. 7 young aliens were supposed to be playing under the watch of 3 supervisors. There were 2 small Thari hatchlings with shiny green scales. 3 Quital chicks, covered in soft gray feathers, sat together. 1 Urgathi cub, who looked like a small furry bear, played with building blocks. In the corner, a Thrin larva floated in its special gel pod that kept it safe and wet. Supervisor Rillan, a thin blue alien with 4 arms, counted the children for the 3rd time that hour. It was his job to make sure everyone was safe. His species believed in counting everything twice, sometimes 3 times. He looked at the play area and frowned. "Where are the hatchlings?" he asked the other supervisors. Supervisor Minta, who had wings folded against her back, looked up from the datapad. They were just there, by the heating panel. All 3 supervisors began to search. They looked under tables, behind toys, inside the small playhouses. The 2 Skthari hatchlings were gone. Then Minta noticed something else. The Quetal chicks. Where are they? Now the supervisors felt their hearts beat faster. They searched more quickly. The Urgathi cub was missing too. The Thrin larva's gel pod had vanished from its resting place. 7 children, all gone. Rillan hit the emergency alert button with one of his 4 hands. Red lights started flashing in the security office. Dae-ho, a human security officer, jumped from his chair. The alert code made his blood run cold. Missing children. He grabbed his communication device and started running toward the nursery. All units, Code 7, missing juveniles, Nursery Section 3. His voice was calm but firm. Other security officers responded immediately. The station's protocols were clear. Nothing mattered more than the safety of children. Within 5 minutes, the entire station knew. Parents were contacted. Ambassador Krelthar, a large serpent-like alien with silver scales, received the message about his missing hatchlings while giving a speech. He stopped mid-sentence. His tongue flicked out, tasting the air. Then he moved faster than most humans could run, his long body sliding through the corridors toward the nursery. Dr. Venix, the bird-like medical officer, heard that her niece was among the missing chicks. Her 4 wings spread wide in distress. She flew through the station halls, not caring about the no-flying rules indoors. Commander Bolmar got the worst news of all. Her cub, her only child, was gone. The massive Urgathi female let out a roar that echoed through 3 sections of the station. Every person, human and alien alike, felt fear at that sound. It was the cry of a mother who would tear apart the universe to find her baby. The station went into immediate lockdown. All doors were sealed. No ships could leave or enter. Security teams spread out through every section, searching with scanners and careful eyes. Dae-ho organized the search teams, sending them to cargo bays, engineering sections, and maintenance tunnels. In the command center, screens showed every camera feed. Technicians watched the recordings from the nursery over and over. The children were there. Then, somehow, they were not. No doors opened. No windows broke. The kids just disappeared like smoke. How is this possible? Commander Bolmar growled. Her claws scraped against the metal desk. 7 children do not just vanish. Ambassador Krelthar coiled in the corner, his hood flared wide. If any species on this station has harmed my hatchlings, there will be consequences. Interstellar consequences. The Quetal parents huddled together, making soft, chirping sounds of distress. The Thrin parent, a large insect-like being, clicked its mandibles nervously. Every species began to look at the others with suspicion. Hyun-woo heard about the lockdown through his communication device. He was in the lower engineering section, fixing a water recycling pump. The message said all personnel should return to their quarters, unless assigned to search teams. He packed his tools carefully and started walking back. The corridors felt different now. Guards stood at every intersection. Parents walked past with tears in their eyes. Some aliens looked at him strangely, and he did not understand why. Humans were new to this station. Only 5 of them worked here. Maybe the others did not trust them yet. He saw Daeho for a moment, rushing past with a security team. His roommate looked tired and worried. They made eye contact briefly, and Daeho shook his head. No news, no leads, nothing. The search continued through the evening. Every room was checked, every storage area, every maintenance shaft. The children were nowhere. It was like they had left the station entirely, but that was impossible. The scanners showed no one had gone through the airlocks. As the hours passed, hope began to fade. Parents refused to leave the command center. They demanded answers that no one had. Some species began to argue. Old tensions surfaced. The Eskthari suggested the Urgathi might have taken the children. The Urgathi accused the Quetal of hiding them. Everyone was scared, and fear made them angry. Hyun-woo reached his quarters in the human section. He was exhausted. His shift had been 12 hours long, and the walk back took extra time because of all the security checkpoints. He palmed the door control, and it slid open with a soft hiss. He stepped inside his dark quarters and stopped. Something felt different. The air smelled strange. Not bad, just different. And there were sounds. Soft breathing. Multiple sources. Tiny shuffles and squeaks. Hyun-woo reached for the light control, wondering if Daeho had come back early. His hand found the button. The lights came on. He froze completely. His eyes going wide. 7 pairs of eyes looked back at him. Some were closed in sleep. Others blinked slowly in the sudden light. All 7 missing alien cubs were in his quarters. The Eskthari hatchlings were curled together in his laundry basket near the heating vent. The Quetal chicks had made a nest from his spare blankets on the top bunk. The Urgathi cub was sprawled across his bed, hugging his jacket like a stuffed toy. The Thrin larva's gel pod sat safely in his dark closet. They were all sleeping peacefully, as if this was exactly where they belonged. The security office looked like chaos. Screens covered every wall, showing different parts of the station. Daeho stood in the center, coordinating 12 different search teams. His voice was getting rough from talking so much, but he kept giving orders. Every team reported the same thing. Nothing. No sign of the missing cubs. Team 4, check the botanical gardens again, he said into his headset. Team 7, I need you in Cargo Bay 12. Look behind every container. Ambassador Krelthar watched from the corner, his long body coiled tight. Every few minutes, his tongue would flick out, tasting the air for any scent of his hatchlings. His eyes were cold and angry. Your security measures are inadequate. Human, he hissed. Children do not simply disappear from a locked nursery. Daeho wanted to argue, but the ambassador was right. It should not be possible. Every door had sensors. Every hallway had cameras. Somehow, 7 young aliens had left the nursery without being seen. Either their technology had failed, or something very wrong was happening. Commander Bolmar paced back and forth like a caged animal. Each of her heavy footsteps made the floor shake slightly. The massive Urgothi female had not slept. Her fur stood on end, making her look even bigger and more dangerous. 16 hours, she growled. My cub has been missing for 16 hours. Where are your results? In another part of the station, Ji-won sat with the Quetal parents. The human xenobiologist had gentle hands and a calm voice. She was trying to comfort the bird-like aliens. But they were beyond comfort. The three adult Quetal huddled together, their feathers puffed up in distress. They made soft, chirping sounds that broke her heart. We will find them, Ji-won said quietly. The security teams are very good at their jobs. But even as she said it, she wondered if it was true. How could they find children who had vanished without a trace? She had studied many alien species, but she had never seen anything like this. The parents looked at her with their large, dark eyes, wanting to believe her. She wished she had better words to give them. The search teams moved through the station like a wave. They checked every space large enough to hide a small creature. Air vents were scanned with heat sensors. Storage rooms were emptied and searched. Maintenance tunnels were walked from end to end. Nothing. One team found a small gray feather near a ventilation grate. The team leader, a stocky alien named Prektu, picked it up carefully. I have something, he reported. Quetal feather. Corridor 18. Section B. Daeho felt hope rise in his chest. Mark that location. Check all surrounding areas. Look for more signs. But there was nothing else. Just one feather that could have been there for days. Still, it was something. Daeho sent 3 more teams to that area. They searched for 2 hours and found nothing. The Thrin parent stood apart from the others. Its insect-like body did not show emotion the way mammals or birds did, but its antennae drooped low. Other Thrin on the station gathered around it, touching antennae in their way of giving comfort. The larva was their future. All Thrin cared deeply about their young. As the search continued, people started to get suspicious of each other. A Sketheri security officer suggested that maybe the Urgothi had taken all the cubs. Your species is very protective, he said to Commander Bolmar. Maybe someone thought the nursery was not safe enough. Bolmar's response was a roar that made everyone in the room step back. You dare accuse my people? While my own cub is missing? A Quetal scientist spoke up, her voice shaking. The Sketheri are known for their appetite. Perhaps. Ambassador Krelthar moved so fast that guards had to jump between him and the Quetal. Finish that sentence, he said, in a deadly quiet voice, and see what happens. Daeho had to shout to be heard. Everyone stop. Fighting each other will not find the cubs. We need to work together. But trust was breaking down. Each species started to suspect the others. Old prejudices surfaced. The humans found themselves being questioned more than most. They were new to the station. Unknown. Maybe they could not be trusted. Ji-won faced an angry group of Urgothi in the science lab. One of them, a male named Tornak, pointed a clawed finger at her. Humans are predators. We have seen your teeth. Your forward-facing eyes. Maybe your kind took our cubs. She felt anger flash through her, but she kept her voice steady. We are predators, yes, but humans do not hurt children. Any children. That is one of our strongest rules. So you say, Tornak growled. But where is the proof? Ji-won had no proof to give. She could only stand there and let them question her, hoping that her honest answers would be enough. They were not. The Urgothi left, still suspicious, still angry. Hyunwoo did not know about any of this. His job kept him in the lower sections of the station, far from the command center and the search teams. He fixed broken pipes and checked air filters and made sure the recycling systems worked properly. It was good work, important work, but it was lonely. During his meal break, he heard 2 aliens talking in the cafeteria. They spoke in low voices, but his human ears picked up the words. I heard they checked the human quarters twice already, one said. Maybe they are hiding something. 2 lever. Hyunwoo felt uncomfortable. He ate his food quickly and left. The station felt different now. Colder. More frightening. People looked at each other with doubt instead of friendship. He saw one of the Quetel chick's mothers in a corridor. She was alone, leaning against a wall, her wings wrapped around herself. Soft crying sounds came from her. Hyunwoo wanted to help, but what could he say? He was just a maintenance worker. He had no answers. Instead, he walked past quietly, not wanting to disturb her grief. It felt wrong to do nothing, but he did not know what else to do. Back in the security office, Daeho reviewed camera footage for the 100th time. His eyes hurt from staring at screens. His back hurt from standing so long. But he could not stop. Somewhere in all this data had to be an answer. He watched the nursery cameras again. The cubs were playing. Then, the supervisors looked away for just a moment. When they looked back, the children were gone. It happened in less than 30 seconds. How? Run it again, he told the technician. They watched in slow motion. One frame showed all 7 cubs. The next frame showed 6. Then 5. Then none. But no doors opened. No one entered or left. It was impossible. A junior security officer named Krivo spoke up hesitantly. "Sir, what if we are looking in the wrong place?" Daeho turned to look at him. "Explain. We have searched all the public areas, all the storage areas, all the places children might go if they wandered off. But what if they went somewhere we would not expect?" "Like where?" Daeho asked. Krivo pulled up a station map. "The residential areas. Private quarters. We have been avoiding those because of privacy concerns. But what if the cubs went into someone's living space?" Commander Bolmar, who had been listening, stepped forward. "Then, we searched the quarters. All of them. Privacy does not matter when children are missing." Ambassador Krelthar nodded in agreement. "Begin with the species most recently arrived. The humans." End quote. Daeho felt his stomach tighten. He knew Hyunwoo was not involved in this. His roommate was one of the gentlest people he had ever met. But he also knew how it looked. The humans were new. Unknown. Of course, they would be suspected first. "I will start with my own quarters," Daeho said firmly. "If we search anyone's private space, we start with mine." The search of human quarters found nothing. Daeho's room was clean and organized. The other human quarters were equally empty of missing cubs. But it did not matter. The seed of suspicion had been planted. As the 20th hour of searching approached, everyone was exhausted. Parents refused to rest. Security teams kept working on nothing but caffeine and determination. The station felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for something terrible to be discovered. Hyunwoo finished his shift and started the long walk back to his quarters. He passed search teams and worried parents and guards who looked at him with hard eyes. The station had become a place of fear and anger. Hyunwoo stood in his quarters, completely frozen. His brain struggled to understand what his eyes were seeing. 7 missing alien cubs. Right here, in his room. Sleeping peacefully like this was the most natural thing in the world. The Eskthari hatchlings were curled together in his laundry basket. Their green scales caught the light, making them look like small jewels. They had chosen the basket because it sat near the heating vent, and reptiles loved warmth. Their small chests moved up and down with steady breathing. On the top bunk, the 3 Quetal chicks had built a nest from his spare blankets. Feathers and fabric mixed together in a cozy pile. One chick had its head tucked under its wing. The other 2 were pressed close together. Soft peeping sounds came from them as they dreamed. His bed, the bottom bunk, was occupied by the Urgathi cub. The small, furry creature sprawled across the whole mattress, taking up far more space than something so small should be able to. She clutched his work jacket in her tiny paws, holding it against her face. Her small ears twitched occasionally. In the closet, which he had left slightly open, the Thryn larva's gel pod sat safely in the darkness. The semi-transparent container glowed faintly. Inside, the larva floated in its special gel, perfectly content in the quiet, dark space. Hyun-woo's first thought was not about the station-wide panic or the massive search. His first thought was simple. Are they safe? Are they hurt? He looked at each cub carefully. All of them were breathing normally. None showed signs of injury or distress. They were not scared. They were not hiding. They were just sleeping, as peaceful as could be. His second thought was, I need to tell someone. Now. He backed out of his quarters very slowly, being careful not to make any sudden noise. The door slid shut with barely a whisper. Then he pulled out his communication device with shaking hands. Dae-ho, he said quietly into the device. I found them. There was a pause. Then his roommate's confused voice came through. Found what? Hyun-woo. I am in the middle of the cubs, Hyun-woo interrupted. All of them. They are in our quarters. They are sleeping. Silence on the other end. The kind of silence that felt very loud. Then, Dae-ho's voice came back, careful and controlled. Say that again. Slowly. The 7 missing cubs are in our quarters. All 7. They are asleep and appear to be healthy. I did not touch them. I did not wake them. I am standing in the corridor outside right now. More silence. Then, Hyun-woo heard his roommate's voice, distant, speaking to someone else. Commander, I need you to hear this. Then back to Hyun-woo. Do not move. Do not go back inside. I am coming with medical and security. Do you understand? Yes, Hyun-woo said. His heart was beating very fast. He understood that this looked bad. Very bad. All the missing cubs, in his room, while the whole station tore itself apart searching. How could he explain that he had no idea they were there? The next 5 minutes felt like 5 hours. Hyun-woo stood in the corridor, watching his door, making sure no one went in or out. A few passing crew members gave him strange looks, but no one stopped to talk. Then he heard the sound of many footsteps, moving fast. Dae-ho came around the corner first, running. Behind him was a whole group of people. Commander Bolmar's huge form pushed through the crowd. Dr. Venix flew above everyone's heads, her 4 wings spread wide. Ambassador Krelthar slid along the floor faster than any of them could run. The Quetal parents rushed forward, chirping frantically. The Thrin parent clicked its mandibles with urgent hope. Where? Commander Bolmar demanded. Hyun-woo pointed at his door. Inside. Please be quiet. They are sleeping. Ji-won appeared from the group, carrying a medical scanner. She looked at Hyun-woo with confusion and concern. Are you okay? She asked quietly. He nodded. I just got back from my shift. I opened the door, and they were there. I did not know. I swear, I did not know. Dr. Venix stepped forward, her medical scanner already active. Everyone stays calm. I must check the juveniles before anyone touches them. There could be a medical reason for their behavior. Commander Bolmar's massive paw was already reaching for the door control. Dr. Venix caught her arm. Please, Commander. Let me go first. We do not know their condition. It clearly hurt the Urgothi mother to wait. But she stepped back. Her whole body shook with the effort of not rushing to her cub. Be quick, she growled. The door slid open. Dr. Venix went in first, moving on silent bird feet. Ji-won followed, with another scanner. Hyun-woo stayed in the corridor with everyone else, feeling like he was going to be sick. Through the open door, he could hear Dr. Venix speaking softly. Scanning now. Vital signs are normal. No signs of distress. All juveniles appear healthy. My hatchlings? Ambassador Krelthar called out, his voice tight with worry. Healthy. Sleeping deeply. Body temperature normal for their species. The chicks? One of the Quetal parents asked, her voice breaking. All 3 are fine. Heartbeat strong, They built a nest. They are comfortable. Commander Bolmar could not wait any longer. She pushed past the others and entered the quarters. Hyun-woo heard her make a sound he had never heard before. Not a roar, not a growl, something softer, gentler. The sound of a mother finding her lost child. She has my jacket, Bolmar said, her voice thick with emotion. She is holding my scent. The other parents could not hold back either. They rushed into the small quarters. The Eskthari parents went straight to the laundry basket. The Quetal parents flew to the top bunk. The Thrin parent found its larva in the closet. Hyun-woo stayed outside. Security officers surrounded him now. But they were not aggressive. They were just confused. One of them, Krivo, asked gently. No, Hyun-woo said honestly. I worked a 12-hour shift. I came back to sleep. I found them and called Dae-ho. Immediately. And Dae-ho stood next to him, not as a security officer, but as a friend. He is telling the truth. Look at him. Does he look like someone who kidnapped 7 children? Hyun-woo did not look like a kidnapper. He looked like a tired maintenance worker who was very confused and a little scared. His uniform was dirty from crawling through engineering spaces. His hair was messy. Hyun-woo's detective veilers. Hyun-woo did not look like a kidnapper. His eyes were red from exhaustion. Inside the quarters, Dr. Venix was running detailed scans. She said, all cubs show signs of voluntary movement. No sedatives in their systems. No signs of force or coercion. They came here on their own. Impossible. Ambassador Krelthar said, my hatchlings are only 6 months old. They cannot navigate the station alone. Yet here they are. Ji-won said softly. She was looking around the quarters with her scientific mind working. Look at where they chose to sleep. The hatchlings near the heat source. The chicks in soft materials at a high point. The Urgathi cub on the largest sleeping surface with something that smells familiar. The Thrin larva in a dark, quiet space. What are you saying? Commander Bolmar asked. Ji-won touched the heating vent gently. I am saying this room met all their needs. Somehow, they knew this was a safe place. They came here seeking comfort. But why here? One of the Quetal parents asked. Why this human's quarters? 2. That was the question everyone wanted answered. Dr. Venix carefully picked up one of the sleeping Quetal chicks to examine it more closely. The small bird made a quiet peeping sound and settled back into sleep. No fear response, the doctor noted. The juvenile feels safe, even when handled. Commander Bolmar gently stroked her cub's fur. The small Urgathi made a happy sound in her sleep and held the jacket tighter. She was scared, Bolmar said quietly. The cultural event was too loud. Too many people. She gets overwhelmed easily. I should have been watching her more carefully. Well, none of this is your fault, Dr. Venix said firmly. But we need to understand what happened. For everyone's safety. Dae-ho looked at Hyun-woo. Did you interact with any of the cubs today? During your shift? Hyun-woo thought back through his long day. Maybe? I was doing maintenance near the cultural event hall. Some of the children were in the corridor. The Urgathi cub dropped a toy. I picked it up for her. Some of the Quetal chicks looked upset by the noise, so I spoke quietly to them. The Eskthari hatchlings were basking near a heating panel I was adjusting. I made sure not to disturb them. You spoke to them? Ji-won asked, suddenly interested. Just small talk. Hello. Are you okay? The noise will be over soon. Things like that. Ji-won and Dr. Venix looked at each other. Something passed between them. The quarters were crowded now. Parents held their sleeping cubs carefully, afraid to let go. Security officers stood in the corridor, trying to understand what had happened. Medical staff scanned everything with their devices. And in the middle of it all, stood Hyun-woo, looking lost and confused. Commander Bolmar's eyes were fixed on the human. She was trying to decide something. Her cub was safe, which made her heart sing with relief. But her cub was safe in a stranger's quarters, which made her mind fill with questions. "I need to know," she said, her voice low and serious. "Did you take my child?" Hyun-woo met her eyes honestly. "No, Commander. I promise you, I did not." "Then how did she get here?" "I do not know." Ambassador Krelthar uncoiled himself from where he had been examining his hatchlings. "Your promise means nothing yet, human. We do not know your kind well enough to trust your words." Daeho stepped forward. "I know him. I have lived with Hyun-woo for 8 months. He would not hurt anyone, especially not children." "You are his friend," one of the Kwetal parents said. "Of course you defend him." Ji-won had been quiet, watching and thinking. Now she spoke up. "Let me check something. Dr. Venix, can you pull up the security footage from earlier today? I want to see the corridors near the cultural event." Dr. Venix connected her datapad to the station's network. Her nimble bird fingers worked quickly. "What am I looking for?" "Hyun-woo's maintenance route. And any interactions with the cubs." The footage played on the small screen. It showed Hyun-woo walking through a corridor, toolkit in hand. A small furry shape appeared. The Urgathi cub, holding a toy. She dropped it, and it rolled away. Hyun-woo stopped, picked up the toy, and knelt down to hand it back to her. The audio was faint, but they could hear his quiet voice. "Here you go. Little one. Do not lose it again." The cub took the toy and made a happy sound. Then she touched Hyun-woo's hand with her small paw before running back to her group. The footage continued. 3 Kwetal chicks stood in a corner, their feathers puffed up, looking distressed by the loud music from the event hall. Hyun-woo noticed them. He crouched down to their level and spoke softly. "I know it is loud. It will be quieter soon. You are okay." One of the chicks stepped closer to him, tilting its head. He stayed still, letting it approach. The chick touched his hand with its beak, then felt better and rejoined the others. More footage showed Hyun-woo adjusting a heating panel where 2 Eskthari hatchlings were basking. He moved carefully around them, not disturbing their rest. He even adjusted the panel to make it warmer for them. "He helped them," one of the Kwetal parents said softly. "He was kind to them." Ji-won nodded. "Now, let me show you something else." She pulled up more footage, this time from after Hyun-woo had left that area. "Watch the cubs." The footage showed the cultural event reaching its loudest point. Music and voices, and too many people in one space. The cubs, all 7 of them, started to look uncomfortable. The Urgathi cub's ears went flat. The Kwetal chicks huddled together. The Skthari hatchlings moved away from the crowd. The Thryn larva's gel pod started to shake. Then something interesting happened. The Urgathi cub started walking in a specific direction, away from the noise. The Kwetal chicks followed her. The Eskthari hatchlings came after. Even the Thryn parent, seeing the others leave, carried its larva's pod along. They left together. Dr. Venix said. But where were they going? Ji-won fast-forwarded the footage, following the cubs through different cameras. They moved through corridors with purpose. Not wandering randomly, they stopped at certain points, seeming to smell or sense something. Then they continued. They are tracking a scent, Ambassador Krelthar realized. His species understood scent tracking very well. The footage showed the cubs reaching the human residential area. There, the Urgathi cub stopped at a specific door. She sniffed at it, then pawed at the control panel. The door was not fully locked. Hyun-woo had used a maintenance override earlier and forgotten to reset it. The door slid open. The cubs went inside, all 7 of them. They explored the quarters briefly. Then each found their preferred spot. The hatchlings in the warm laundry basket. The chicks in the soft blankets up high. The Ergothi cub on the bed with the jacket that smelled like her earlier helper, the Thrin larva in the dark closet. Within 20 minutes, they were all asleep. They followed his scent, Commander Bolmar said slowly. My cub remembered him. She felt safe with him. So she found his den. Ji-won smiled. Exactly. And the others followed, because young creatures feel safer in groups. One cub trusted the human. That trust spread to all of them. Ambassador Krulthar was not convinced yet. But why would they trust a stranger? A predator species, no less. May I explain something about humans? Ji-won asked. She did not wait for an answer. My species. We evolved as what we call persistence hunters. We are predators, yes, but we are also pack animals. We bond with our groups very strongly. We protect our young fiercely, and we extend that protection instinct to others, even other species. She gestured around the quarters. Look at this space. Humans instinctively make their living areas into safe dens. Warm, quiet, comfortable. We use soft materials. We control lighting. We create spaces where we feel protected. To a scared child of any species, these signals read as safety. Dr. Venix was scanning Hyunwoo with her medical device. Interesting. His pheromone levels show very low stress markers. No aggression. High empathy indicators. To a juvenile's basic instincts, he would register as a safe adult. But he is not their species, one of the Quetal parents protested weakly. That does not matter to a frightened child. Ji-won said gently. Your chicks were overwhelmed. Too much noise. Too many people. Too much stimulation. They needed quiet and safety. They encountered Hyunwoo, who gave them a moment of calm. His voice was quiet. His movements were gentle. He helped without demanding anything in return. To young minds, that equals safe. She pulled up more data on her pad. And look at his quarters. The temperature is slightly warmer than most species prefer. Perfect for reptiles. He has soft fabrics everywhere. Ideal for nesters. His bed is large and low, good for a small mammal to climb onto. His closet is dark and quiet. Perfect for a light-sensitive larva. This space met all their needs. Exer. Commander Bolmar looked down at her sleeping cub. She was smart, the Ergothi mother said with pride in her voice. She found the safest den on the station. She did, Ji-won agreed. They all did. Ambassador Krelthar was quiet for a long moment. His tongue flicked out, tasting the air. He looked at Hyunwoo with new eyes. You did not take them, he said finally. They took themselves to you. I still do not fully understand why. Hyunwoo said quietly. I saw they needed help. Small help. So I helped. And that, Ji-won said, is exactly why they came here. Humans help. It is what we do. We cannot seem to stop ourselves from caring for those who need care. Especially children. Daeho had been listening to all of this with growing understanding. So what you are saying is, my roommate accidentally became a universal babysitter because he was nice to some kids? Despite the tension, several people made sounds that might have been laughter. Even Commander Bolmar's mouth twitched in what could have been a smile. Essentially, yes, Ji-won said. Dr. Venix finished her scans. All juveniles are healthy. No harm has come to them. In fact, their stress levels are lower now than they were before they went missing. This sleep has been good for them. Should we wake them? One of the Quetal parents asked. Not yet, Dr. Venix said firmly. They are deeply asleep. Waking them suddenly could cause distress. Let them wake naturally. Commander Bolmar looked at Hyunwoo again. This time her eyes were not angry or suspicious. You protected them, she said simply. You did not know they were here, but your den protected them anyway. My people honor those who create safe spaces for cubs. She placed one massive paw on Hyunwoo's shoulder. He did not flinch, though her paw was as big as his head. "Thank you," she said, "for being the kind of person my daughter knew she could trust." Hyunwoo did not know what to say to that. I am glad they are safe." The tension in the room had changed. It was not gone completely. There were still questions, still concerns, but the fear and anger had faded. The cubs were safe. That was what mattered most. The cubs woke slowly, one by one, in the quiet quarters. The Urgathy cub was first, yawning widely and showing small teeth. She looked up and saw her mother's face. Her little tail started wagging immediately. She made happy sounds and reached up with both paws. Commander Bolmar picked up her daughter with infinite gentleness. The massive warrior held her cub close, and for a moment, she was just a mother who had found her lost child. She made soft rumbling sounds that her species used for comfort. "You scared me," she whispered. "Never do that again." The Quetal chicks woke next, their eyes blinking in the light. They saw their parents and made cheerful peeping sounds. They did not seem to understand that anything had been wrong. To them, they had just found a nice, quiet place to nap. The parent birds gathered their chicks close, feathers touching feathers. The Eskhthari hatchlings were slower to wake. Reptiles did not rush things. They stretched in their warm laundry basket, then finally noticed the adults, watching them. Ambassador Krelthar reached down with his long body, letting his hatchlings climb onto him. They wrapped around his neck, and he coiled protectively around them. The Thryn larva was last. Its parent carefully picked up the gel pod and checked all the seals. Satisfied that the larva was healthy, the parent clicked its mandibles in what might have been relief or gratitude. Dr. Venix watched all the reunions with her medical scanner ready. But there was no need for it. All the cubs were perfectly fine. Better than fine. Really. They seemed rested and content. "We should let you have your quarters back," Commander Bolmar said to Hyunwoo. She looked around at the space. "Though I am almost sorry to leave. It is quite comfortable here." The other parents gathered their cubs and slowly filed out. Each one stopped to look at Hyunwoo as they passed. The looks were different now. Not suspicious. Not angry. Something else. Curious, maybe. Ambassador Krelthar was the last to leave. He paused at the door, his hatchlings still coiled around him. "Human, he said formally. "I misjudged your kind. I thought humans were dangerous because you are predators. I did not consider that predators can also be protectors. We try to be," Hyunwoo said quietly. "When we can." The ambassador nodded and left. The quarters were suddenly empty except for Hyunwoo, Dae-ho, and Ji-won. Dae-ho looked around at the mess. Blankets everywhere. His laundry basket full of reptile scales. Small paw prints on the bed. "Well," he said, "this will be an interesting report to write." Ji-won was already typing on her datapad. "I am writing my own report. This is fascinating from a xenobiological perspective. Human spaces as universal safe zones for juvenile aliens. The implications are remarkable. Please do not make me famous for this," Hyunwoo said. "I just want to sleep." "Too late," Dae-ho said with a grin. "You are the human who saved 7 alien cubs by being nice to them. That story is going to spread." And spread it did. By the next morning, everyone on the station knew what had happened. The story changed slightly with each telling, but the core remained the same. The humans' quarters had become a safe haven for frightened children. 3 days after the incident, Hyunwoo was called to the station commander's office. He went nervously, still not sure if he was in trouble. Commander Bolmar sat behind a large desk that looked too small for her massive frame. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a chair. He sat. "The council has reviewed the incident," she said formally. "All security footage, all medical reports, all witness statements. We have concluded that no wrongdoing occurred. In fact, we are commending you for creating an environment that protected our young when they needed it most." She pushed a datapad across the desk. "This is an official commendation, It will be added to your permanent record. Hyun-woo looked at the pad but did not touch it. I did not do anything special. They came to my quarters on their own. That is the point, Bolmar said. You did not have to do anything special. You are naturally the kind of person that children recognize as safe. That is a rare quality, and it deserves recognition. A week passed. The station slowly returned to normal. But things were different now. Hyun-woo noticed it in small ways. The Quetel parents would smile at him in the corridors. Sometimes their chicks were with them, and the small birds would peep cheerfully when they saw him. Once, one of the chicks brought him a drawing. It was a picture of a stick-figure human surrounded by small birds. He kept it on his wall. The Eskthari hatchlings would bask near him when he did maintenance work in public areas. They seemed to enjoy his presence. Ambassador Krelthar stopped looking at him with suspicion and started nodding and greeting. The Urgathi cub visited his quarters regularly. Commander Bolmar would bring her by, always asking permission first. The small cub loved to play with Hyun-woo's tools, making happy sounds while he worked. Sometimes, she would fall asleep on his bed, and Bolmar would come collect her later. She feels safe here, the commander explained. Our quarters are bigger, but yours are quieter. She likes quiet. 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 Even the Thrin parent brought its larva by occasionally. It never stayed long, but it seemed important to the Thrin that the larva spend time in the space it had chosen as safe. G1's research paper was published in a major xenobiological journal. Human denning behavior and cross-species juvenile care instincts became required reading in several universities. She made sure to note in the paper that not all humans were like Hyun-woo, but that human spaces generally showed these protective qualities. Daeho teased Hyun-woo constantly. Should I start charging rent for all these visitors? We are running a daycare now. But Hyun-woo did not mind. He had never been very social, preferring quiet and solitude. But having the cubs visit was different. They did not talk much. They just existed in his space, peacefully. It was nice. He made small changes to his quarters. He installed a better heating lamp for reptilian visitors. He got softer blankets for the avian nesters. He set up a small, dark corner with a cushion for anyone who needed quiet and dark. He reinforced the furniture to handle the Urgathi cub's energetic climbing. One evening, 2 months after the incident, Hyun-woo was in his quarters reading. There was a soft scratch at his door. He opened it to find the Urgathi cub standing there alone. Well, not quite alone. Commander Bolmar stood at the end of the corridor, watching. She wanted to visit, Bolmar called out. But it is late. If you are too tired, I will take her back. Hyun-woo looked down at the small cub. She looked up at him with big, hopeful eyes. It is okay, he said. She can come in. The cub toddles inside and immediately claimed her favorite spot on his bed. Within minutes, she was asleep, curled up with his jacket. Bolmar came to the door quietly. Yes, Hyun-woo said. She is safe here. The commander looked at him for a long moment. You are a good person, Hyun-woo. My people value those who protect the young. If you ever need anything at all, you have the full support of the Urgathi. After she left, Hyun-woo went back to his reading. The cub snored softly in the background. It should have felt strange, having an alien child sleeping in his quarters. But it did not. It felt natural. Daeho came back from his shift later and found them both asleep. Hyun-woo in his chair, with his book on his chest. The Urgathi cub on the bed. He smiled and quietly went to the top bunk, careful not to wake either of them. The next morning, Ji-won stopped by with more data for her research. She found Hyun-woo making breakfast, while the Urgathi cub played with building blocks on the floor. This is adorable, she said, taking pictures. Can I use this for my next paper? As long as you do not make it weird, Hyun-woo said. Too late. Daeho called from the bathroom. Everything about this is already weird. Good weird, but weird. Ji-won sat down and watched the cub play. You know what I find most interesting? She said. Not that the cubs came to you, but that you accepted them. You did not call their parents immediately when you found them. You checked if they were safe first. You did not wake them. You prioritized their rest and comfort over protocol. They were sleeping, Hyunwoo said, as if this explained everything. You do not wake sleeping babies. But that is exactly my point, Ji-won said excitedly. That instinct. To let a child sleep. To prioritize their peace over rules. That is distinctly human. Most species would wake the juvenile immediately to return it to proper care. Humans think differently. She added to her notes, humans create safe spaces naturally, and then they become those safe spaces. The station's lights dimmed for the night cycle. Throughout the human residential area, similar scenes played out. Another human had a Quetzal chick visiting, perched on their shoulder while they worked. A third human was teaching some Skthari hatchlings a human game. The aliens had learned something important about humans. They were predators, yes, but they were also protectors. They extended their pack-bonding instincts to anyone who needed care, especially children, and the humans had learned something too. They learned that caring for others was not a weakness. It was a bridge. It created connections stronger than any treaty or agreement, because when you trusted someone with your child, that trust went deep. Hyunwoo stood at his window, looking out at the stars. The Urgathi cub was asleep in his bed again. This was becoming a regular thing. Commander Bolmar had asked if he minded, and he had said no. The cub felt safe here. That was all that mattered. The universe was large and full of different species. Some looked scary. Some looked strange. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some had fur. But underneath all those differences, there were things that stayed the same. Children needed safety. Parents needed to trust. And everyone needed spaces where they could rest without fear. Hyunwoo's quarters had become one of those spaces, not through any grand plan or special effort, just through being what it was. A quiet, warm place where a tired person could rest. It just so happened that tired people came in many different shapes. As he turned away from the window to go to bed, he heard soft scratching at the door again. He opened it to find all three Quetzal chicks, looking sleepy and a bit lost. Behind them stood their parents, looking apologetic. The storm outside frightened them, one parent explained. A solar storm was passing by the station, creating light effects that disturbed some species. They said they wanted to go to the safe humans' room. Hyunwoo stepped aside. Come in. There is space. The chicks hurried in and flew up to their favorite nest spot in the blankets. They settled down immediately. The Quetzal parents thanked him and left. Daeho looked at the growing collection of sleeping aliens. We need bigger quarters, he said. Hyunwoo smiled. It was a rare expression on his quiet face. Maybe. As he finally settled down to sleep, surrounded by the soft sounds of breathing in many different rhythms, he thought that maybe this was okay. He had come to the station to fix machines. But maybe he was fixing something else too. Building trust. Creating understanding. Making the universe feel a little smaller and safer. All because 7 scared cubs had found his door and decided this was where they belonged.